I want to know how author Anthony Estrada created complex characters and a sensational storyline and published his amazing novel in just a few months. Welcome to the Traveling Publisher. Let's go. Hi, Anthony.
Hello, nice to see you again.
So nice to see you as well. Thank you so much for joining me
Of
and for
course.
doing this. Thank you so much. This is your awesome book. And I just got chills because I love this book so much. This, everyone has got to read this book. It's incredible. And what I'd love to know first, I'm going to pull questions from our Fortune Teller's Handbook. Uh,
Yeah.
Anthony had actually kind of selected some of them. Some of them are going to be a surprise. But my first one I'd like to know is how did you develop these characters who I feel like I know?
Yeah. So, each character has a different place that they came from for me, right? The main character, Carlos, that's an amalgamation of people that I know in my life that I decided, was going to be sort of the main driver of this. But realistically, what Carlos ended up uh, being emblematic of for me was of my personal character arc, of the things I need to learn, of the things I need to listen, and
Brilliant.
the things I need to figure out. So that's really for him. That's really where it started to develop. And then after a while, I just started thinking about what were the things I wanted to talk about? What were the things that I felt interested in? And, when the January 6th riots happened, a lot of that started bubble over in anger for me of how do I
Sure.
express that anger and how do I express a lot of the division in the country that I've seen and that all of us have seen in ways that I feel that can really talk to the times and can really talk to the moment of where we're at in the world.
Yeah.
Um, and then obviously, talking about different Latino issues and different things that we deal with as people, I was like, okay, then we got to figure out ways to to integrate that. And then the last part of it was what things can serve as metaphors for the United States. And that's where one of my personal favorite characters, Lupe, came from. And that's where I started to understand, okay, this is how I'm going to build out these characters. And each character, like realistically, I can say has a part of me in them, right? Obviously, I don't have any sort of ties to white supremacy, but I can say a lot of the anger and I can say a lot of the frustration or things that I felt, I just would channel into that or have ways of framing the character mindsets in ways that I was channeling anger and stuff like that. So all the characters I would say have little bits of me in them and little parts of things that I just saw in the world or different things I heard people say. So that's how
That
I did it.
that's incredible, Anthony. And so your book is called Those Who Fear Us. And we have right on here a thriller novel, and
Yep.
thriller it is. And of course, people can order your book on Amazon, and we're going to put the link in the description. But as you were speaking, you know what really resonated with me? I saw myself in a lot of these characters too, especially
Yeah.
Luke. And I think that is something that was so powerful of you that you created these characters that were so deep and so recognizable that we even felt that in ourselves. And so,
And and that's something that really is the whole impetus of my writing is when I write, I think to myself, if you're going to ask people to ask questions about themselves, then you
Mhm.
have to ask them of yourself, most
Oh,
importantly. And
there you go.
you have to be willing to reveal yourself in order for people to get there. So it's like honestly, the more vulnerable I got, the more open I got, and the more I exposed some of my like deepest, darkest thoughts, then I was like, then people are going to see this in themselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And not just the dark stuff, but also the hopeful side. It's like, how do I express the hopefulness that I always see the world with?
Ex
And that to me was like, okay, if you can serve that as a reflection, and more importantly, if you can make the experiences so specific, in
Mhm.
turn they'll become more universal.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. And you know what? That makes me ask a question that I ask authors all the time. Can you share your book's elevator pitch? Just a
Sure.
synopsis.
Yeah. So a cop that's near retirement is sent up to this very remote farming community in Central California. One day, a Latino migrant worker kills a white supremacist, and it becomes a huge national story.
Oh gosh.
Uh,
Mhm.
they decide that the cops decide that they're going to put him at this small precinct to sort of keep the media away for the day. And that same night, his wife and estranged son happen to be at the police station.
Yep.
And that same night, the Latino and white supremacist gangs of the area decide to come together and kill everyone inside the police station. So not only do they have to defend themselves, but they also have to figure out their familial issues amongst each other in one night.
In one night, only in
Yeah,
one. And no, as you're speaking, as I'm remembering reading your book, it reads like something you just think over and over. This has got to be made into a movie. So
yeah,
can you
yeah,
share, we're going to do another video about your amazing, amazing movie experience. But can you share a little bit about that? Was that in the back of your mind as you were writing?
yeah. As a filmmaker, that was exactly where my head's at. I personally think so visually. I see the world very visually. When I hear a story, my brain goes visual. Um, so immediately my brain is always thinking movie, right?
Yeah.
And it's as I was writing, it was playing out as a movie, right? And even as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking like an actor. What would an actor be thinking here? How would they be exploring the character? What questions would they be asking, right?
Holy
Um,
cow, that
yeah,
is tremendous advice. That's I've never heard anybody say that before.
yeah. I mean, and I'm sure you've heard this piece of writing advice, but it's like, and that's where I talk about the actor mentality, which is like you put yourself in the character, you let them do the work, and
Yeah.
sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
Yes. Yes. They right. These characters told the story, right?
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
incredible. It's incredible. So let's get another question from our Fortune Teller's Handbook.
awesome.
And that is, oh, this is my favorite. What is your superpower? And how did you apply that to creating your book?
I would say my superpower, I'll say superpowers are threefold. Maybe that's a little bit of overconfidence, but
No, no, that's justified, my friend. Justified.
number one, I would say is my compassion. Um, I'm I think that there's a vast difference between empathy and compassion. Empathy is saying, I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Compassion is, I'm there with you, but let's get through this together. So a
Yeah.
big part of what I wanted to write was a compassionate story, was I hear where you're coming from, and I'm not just going to sit here, telling you that you're wrong. I'm going to say, I feel the same way that you do. What's a way that we can find a pathway together? So that was number one.
That
Number,
comes through in this book. Yeah.
yeah. Number two was I would say my ability to speak and just my ability to sort of articulate the thoughts that I had.
Yeah.
I would say it comes down to really how do I help people understand very complex issues and emotions and ideas? And I've always felt that that's a gift of mine
It
is
is.
to help people understand those things. And not only that, but help myself understand them. And then the number three superpower I would say is just my willingness to be vulnerable and to go those places, right? It's like I'm not afraid of those things. And I'm actually find there's way more strength and power in going to those places than trying to hide behind them or say that they don't exist.
That's incredible. And there's a story, and I'm not going to give it away for you, friends. I want you to read this awesome book. But there is a storyline in here that you definitely feel that. That is tremendous. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I remember something we talked about early on, Anthony. You
Yeah.
recommended, and I think this is a great tip for other writers. You recommended to me that I watch a couple of movies.
Yeah.
You were like, this is the style, this is what I want to evoke. How did that sort of guide your writing process as you were developing the story?
Yeah. So when you're doing a script or you're doing a movie, you oftentimes want to watch movies that are similar, right? And when I had first started writing the book, the agents I had at the time were like, it's just like a movie. And I was like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense to me. Right? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So, but I did it. I was like, well, what plot do I relate this to? And I was like, Assault on Precinct 13. That's number one, right? So I watched both the old version, I watched the new version. Then I was like, well, what are the thematics that you really care about? And it was watching Shawshank Redemption for
Yes.
I'm not kidding, about 20 times in a row, where I started to go, oh, this is what I'm trying to get to. And then, watching Rambo First Blood, it was like, oh, I see a lot of similarities to this character and what he's going through to what the main character is going through. And then really you just start taking bits and pieces of it, right? And it's like the best forms of writing, in my opinion, give people what they know, but put spins on them, right? So, and that's essentially what I did. And that's why I was so adamant about the movie, version of it and seeing it and watching those movies to make sure I understood what the story is about. Then make sure I understood what the plots I was going for, the themes I was going for. And movies, again, just help me to communicate those the best.
And I think that that is absolutely genius. In 30 years of publishing. I have never heard anyone say that, Anthony. But the other thing that advice I'd offer to our friends watching is it was helpful for me as your editor and publisher that you shared that with me because then
Yeah.
I watched some of those movies and it helped me to get in that zone that you were. And if an author is creating a proposal to send perhaps to a traditional publisher, include that kind of information because when you say to someone, my book is like dot, 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 they get it, right?
Yeah.
It just helps you to convince. So that was so powerful and so strong.
Well, and I will say too, like, just because of the way my brain works, I'm like, I always saw this as a movie, right? So I was like, how can I help a publisher? How can I help someone see what it is
Yes.
I see? And moreover, I'm also, when I propose movies for people to watch, it also helps me put kind of a test to them of go, how serious are you about working with me? Because it takes an hour and a half to watch a movie, not 7 hours to read a book, right?
You're
So
really smart.
it's like, and if
Really
you want to
smart.
get a sense of what I'm really after and you want to get a sense of what I'm really about, then this is what it is. But I also felt like giving you those movies was like you would then understand and helping me to get to the places I went to because then the edits and the notes that you offered were very much aligned with where I was trying to go. And then it was like, oh man, we're super aligned with it. And it's just making things better because of it.
It did. It did. Such a genius idea. You're so smart. Let's go to telling him what kinds of stuff for us
Yeah.
next. Oh, I love this one. What were some of the surprising things about the publishing process?
Yeah. So I actually I went the traditional publishing route first. I had agents and all that. I wouldn't say that well, for me, again, because I work in entertainment, I kind of understand, how a lot of these things work. But the thing that kind of, I will say, rubbed me the wrong way, didn't surprise me necessarily, was how much traditional publishers at the time wanted me to sort of like soften a lot of the storylines,
Yeah.
or that they wanted me to like, I want you to write the book of your dreams. And I was like, well, I am. And you're not understanding that I'm trying to write the book of my dreams right now. And it's like,
I-
I understand the marketing side of it and all that. But if you're not understanding what it is I'm actually trying to get to, then we're not on the same page here. Right. And look, I'm all about making money. I'm all about making sure that you right and that you're doing the commercial side of it too. But there's a certain part of me where I would say I learned more about myself than I did about the publishing, which is just like, if you really believe in something, then you need to write it the way that you see it, right?
For you.
If you can remove the ego side of it and say I'm doing it just because it's me, I'm going to do it this way. But instead, you're going, I really do believe this is best for the book.
Yeah.
Then go that route. And that's really when, when you and I connected, I was like, no, this woman gets exactly what I'm going for, and she really trusts me as a writer, and that was really important to me.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so awesome. And that's the difference between traditional publishing and independent publishing, which is what I call myself. The
Yeah.
relationship is different. With the traditional publisher, they're essentially buying your book and they're
Yes.
paying the money to produce your book. And so, they feel that they earn the right to pretty much tell you what to do about your book from beginning to end. And on my model is the opposite. You're hiring me,
Yeah.
I'm working for you. And so I always try to phrase things like, this is a suggestion, this is an idea, this is what I might do. But at the end of the day, it's your name on the cover. It's your book, and so it's a really different relationship. So
And I would say that was, as a writer, that was the thing I had to walk with, was like, if regardless of how much money it makes, how well it does, what reviews it gets, can I walk away from this book going, this is the best embodiment of what I can do at this time and what have I wanted to say and what I wanted to express. And I will say, like, I am so freaking proud of this book. I'm so proud of the work that we did. And,
me
you
too.
know, and in turn, just the reaction that it's gotten, I go, you did exactly what you set out to do, and it's been so much more because of it.
That's tremendous. That is tremendous. Yep. Oh, I'm so glad. One last question. And
Yeah.
it is, what are some of your future goals and dreams with this book or with anything?
I got so many of them. Too many ideas all the time. Right now, I'm actually in the midst of starting a business that is both entertainment production and development, as well as personal development that would take place in both the United States and Mexico to help both Latinos as well as everybody that's interested in developing their projects together. So it's something I'm really passionate about. It gets all my interests together simultaneously. I have a stage musical right now that's in the works that I'm really excited about. It's really a beautiful piece that we're all working on together.
Can you
And then,
share what it's called or when it might be out or where it
yeah,
might
it's called Labor of Love.
be?
And it's about a Mexican day laborer who just crosses the border. and he falls in love with the daughter of an ultra conservative presidential candidate.
Oh.
And so, it's very much in the tone of the producers and Book of Mormon. It's you know, I believe very deeply if you're going to do satire, you need to rip into everybody, and we do that very much so. So, you
I can't wait. Do you have any target when it might be out?
yeah, so we're actually doing our first workshop at the beginning of next year, and then the goal is to be at regional theaters by um, uh, early 2026.
Holy cow.
With with the understanding that we've also been very fortunate that a couple of Broadway producers have read it. They love it. They're like, this has potential for that. It's just a matter of what the right what the right thing is for it. So
It's
yeah,
incredible. Well, please keep me posted on your success, and I can
of
add
course,
comments below. That's phenomenal.
yeah,
Congratulations.
it's really exciting. Yeah,
That's really exciting.
yeah,
Well, let's talk one last time about where people can buy this awesome book. Great gift, great book for yourself. Those Who Fear Us, available to order anywhere books are sold, and of course on Amazon. Can you
yeah,
share, Anthony, your Instagram contact?
yeah. It's Anthony Estrada 22.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you, friends, for being here today. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking, subscribing, and leave a comment, perhaps a question for me, for Anthony. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks, Anthony.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.